So a very funny thing happened on social media this week. Donald Trump tried to use the story of a convicted Capitol rioter to contrast the very lenient plea deal that Hunter Biden got. It's a 69-year-old woman who has cancer, who was sentenced to 2 months in jail for her involvement in the Capitol riot. Donald Trump put that story on Truth Social and said, quote, "American injustice. 69-year-old grandma with cancer given more prison time for walking inside U.S. Capitol than Hunter Biden for sharing classified documents with foreign regimes and multi-million-dollar bribery schemes." Hunter Biden, by the way, has not even been accused of sharing classified information with foreign regimes. Trump, you're the one that's actually been accused of sharing classified information. But he put this story out, and of course, all of his little freaks on Truth Social jumped on it, talked about what an injustice this is. But there was one person who had an issue with this story. And that person happens to be Pamela Hemphill. And Pamela Hemphill, coincidentally, is that now 70-year-old grandmother with cancer who did participate in the Capitol riot, did spend 2 months in jail, but she still called Donald Trump out for trying to compare apples to oranges with her story versus Hunter Biden. Please, Trump, don't be using me for anything. I'm not a victim of January 6th. I pleaded guilty because I was guilty. Hashtag stop the spin. So Donald Trump thought he had this slam dunk message. Like, oh, I'm going to show everybody they're targeting this poor grandma with cancer versus Hunter Biden who gets off easy. And the 70-year-old cancer patient's like, hold your horses, dude. That is not at all what happened. I participated in the Capitol riot and I accept responsibility for my actions. Do not use me to push your agenda. So kudos to Miss Pamela Hemphill. That took courage to stand up to the former president of the United States on his own social media platform. But the story doesn't end there. Because once this blew up, the Daily Beast reached out to Miss Hemphill and she gave them an interview. And she talks about the fact that prior to January 6th, which she was given the trip to D.C. By a relative for Christmas, she was excited. She was posting on social media that this is going to be a war. She was fully committed to doing what she did on January 6th. And that's why, of course, she took responsibility for it. But she says something happened when she was in prison. And again, just 2 months, but she was terrified in prison. I would be. And she says that she started to realize things. Started to realize that she was in a cult. And she talked about in this interview with the Daily Beast the fact that, people can tell you all day, every day that you're in a cult, and that means nothing when you're in the cult. Right? That's not how you get people out of it. But she says once you can take a step back, like she basically had to do while she was in jail, she started to see the narcissism. She started to see the gaslighting. She started to see all the lies. And then she started looking at the people that are still the true believers of Donald Trump. All that merchandise, she says, with his picture on t-shirts and the flags. And she's like, this isn't normal. So she managed to deprogram herself from the Trump cult, which is truly remarkable. Like this, she saved herself, essentially. And now she's standing up to Donald Trump on his own social media platform. This is a very positive story. It gives me hope that maybe some of these other cultists can do the same thing and take a step back and realize, like, wait a minute, let me just look at this rationally. And once they start to do that, they realize there's nothing rational about any of this. So again, kudos to Ms. Hemphill here for calling out Donald Trump. My gratitude for realizing that you were in a cult and pulling yourself out of it, because that's not an easy task. Like, that takes a very strong will to be able to do that. But she did it, which means maybe there is a little bit of hope after all. Thanks for watching, everyone, and well, here comes the awkward part at the end of the video where I ask you to like, comment, and share, and subscribe for more content from Ring of Fire. Also, you should consider becoming a member for some exclusive content and perks, including early access videos and exclusive videos. Check out the link in the description.